Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Real Chill Conversations. Happy Cinco de Mayo. I know I was out celebrating earlier today before we got rained on and had to move the party. How was your weekend, Dominique?
It was good. I actually had my Cinco de Mayo yesterday going to Papacitos.
Okay, okay.
Girl, yes, I had a very good time. Somebody had to come rescue me last night.
You should have called me. I wasn't doing nothing but laundry and cleaning and
I
doing.
should have. I should
Yeah,
have.
I
Yes.
literally was not doing anything except laundry and cleaning the house. So yes, I would have been on the rescue. All you had to do was call me and I would have been right there to pick you on up.
You could have just went with me.
Oh
Cause I
yeah.
went by myself.
Oh, well, why didn't you tell me you was gonna go? I would have went with you for sure.
Yeah, I just went by myself.
Sure, I would have went with you. So tonight's topic is love bombing. We're going to talk about what it is. Have you ever experienced it? Are you guilty of love bombing? And we're going to get into this conversation and get into this topic because a lot of these relationships that we've seen gone public on social media, a lot of people talk about how they were love bombed and why the relationship didn't work out. And I just wanted to have this conversation because I'm wondering if there was ever a situation in which you felt like you were love bombed and maybe that was one of the reasons that made you take a step back. So, first thing I'm going to say is love bombing is typically a narcissistic behavior. Now, I didn't know that. I thought just anybody could love bomb, but narcissists like to overwhelm you and overindulge you in extravagant gifts and flowers and thoughts of affection and wanting to rush the relationship and get into the relationship right away versus kind of taking your time and kind of feeling things out and pacing it. So, we're going to get into it. What are your thoughts on love bombing? What do you think?
You know what? At first, I was not this interested about this topic because I was like, everybody pretty much does that in a way, one way or another. It's like everyone has this honeymoon phase where everything is good, you know what I'm saying? And then
Yeah.
once you get through that honeymoon phase, it's like you start seeing a real person's like real intentions, and you start noticing they're inconsistent about certain things. Now it's not as important as it was when they first met you
Right.
because they were trying to bring you under their wing.
Right.
So now that you mentioned love bombing, yes, I'm interested. And I was interested because I had an iffy situation um in my life. And I was like, yeah, like that could have been it. That could have been it.
Yeah. So the definition reads that love bombing is what happens when one person in a new relationship showers the other with so much affection that it's overkill or is just getting to know someone versus getting to know someone. For the recipient, it's good to get all of that attention and quote unquote love. However, this could very well be a manipulative tactic to make the other person feel obligated or become dependent on the love bomber. In fact, the tactic is quite often used by narcissists or abusers.
Okay, and ask yourself is if this new person is the person for you or just love bombing you. And
Right.
it's like really iffy, and it's like a thin line right there. So I feel like people should be aware of um you may be attracted to this person and the other way around, and they see value in you. All of this can seem like it was God sent. And I know you heard me say that before. um we are finally saying, wow, this is my person. He's so amazing,
Yeah.
way too soon.
Wait,
And we tend to finally, you know, we're like, oh, this is the person, finally, someone that I want. This who I've been waiting for without even questioning it.
right. And that's what you have to do. You have to question it. Now, to say that there's nothing wrong with going intense and diving deep into a relationship, but most both must have the same intentions. If someone's intention is to be emotionally manipulative to gain power over a person, this is love bombing. It can be hard to spot because it looks and feels similar to what most people want in relationship to feel loved, wanted, and adored. Now I'm
And
gonna
you know what, Brenna? Let me jump
yeah,
in here real quick.
yeah,
Most of the time, when we're not able to notice these things, is when we got out of a relationship where we probably went through trials and tribulations with this person.
right.
And all of a sudden, this amazing person just come into your life, and then boom, we get
Yeah.
it confused.
It's like Prince Charming has entered the building. Like, where have you been my whole life? I was like this before. This is what it's supposed to feel like, but it's not. And it says when you are the recipient of love bombing, it is necessary to keep a clear head. This can be more difficult when you're feeling happy to have someone love you so much. However, after the initial period of being lavished with affection, there could be a change to that behavior that makes the love more conditional. Now, I want to piggyback on that. I want to say that to me, when I was in this situation, I wasn't aware that that's what was going on. I just felt so like a princess. Like, oh my God, he loves me so much. He cares about me so much. He's so sweet. He's so this, he's so that. But then when they start backpedaling and backtracking and holding you to consequences that aren't fair, they want things from you that you're like, wait, why do you need this from me? Or they respond negatively when you speak your mind and you speak feelings. It's all done in a method to control you. And I didn't realize it when it happened and I dismissed it and I ignored it because I thought, "Oh, it's just normal. He just cares about me. He just loves me. He just worries about me." Other signs of love bombing are people that want to communicate with you all throughout the day, calling and texting, wanting to always know where you are. They show up where you might be out with your girls or out with a friend or things like that. That to me is, another red flag and another sign of love bombing. And I've definitely experienced that as well.
And be careful, y'all, because I mean, y'all could get, this can get very confusing. And I say it for myself because I was very confused. I think I realized I was being lied to the whole time.
Hmm.
At a time of vulnerability, only to realize that the circumstances was misused. I don't know if it was for selfish benefit or whatever the case might have been. But instead of me giving myself the time that I needed, I automatically jumped into something that, yeah.
Well, I mean, being in a vulnerable position is the opportune time for someone that's a narcissist or someone that's manipulative to overwhelm you and to love bomb you. It also states that, this is the phase when the narcissist or the abuser wears the mask or project a fake best version of themselves. Let's go back to that in a second. They act as someone who will help you through all of your problems and make you feel so seen. They want all the things you want, but it's fake. They are projecting behavior can't maintain long term, and they are acting that way to lure you in. That right there is the red flag of all flags because they can't keep up the act. They can't keep up the love bombing. They can't keep up the precedent of, oh, I love you so much, oh, I care for you so much. It turns into other things. And with that being said, and backtracking to that, I want to say that it's really, really important that you're careful and you're understanding what is happening in the situation with love bombing, especially when you're getting into a new relationship. It can happen in relationships that are already going on, but I don't necessarily think that that's love bombing. And I think for me, I was getting confused love bombing versus romance. I thought the things that were going on and were happening was a romantic gesture when really it was love bombing.
Right. It's like a fairy tale, like
Hmm.
something out of la novelas.
Telenovelas?
Yes. So you're like so infatuated, so obsessed with them, and you have to be careful with that. Too much too soon is not a good sign. I had to understand that. That's why I said this topic for me is a learning topic because I didn't know. Um, you become a target just to like some people can overwhelm you. Like
Yes,
they say, "Oh, we're soulmates," without even knowing you. You know what
right,
I'm saying? They can jump in just to say that, or jump to saying, "Well, let's move in together." Way
right.
too soon. Um, yeah, and when I mean way too soon, you know what I mean. Like it's way too soon. They want to
And it's
dominate your time, your attention. Like I was not paying attention to none of these things. Like I
right,
really wasn't.
right. You were
Um
just excited because you're like, wow, I'm getting this attention and this is what I needed and it's making me feel good. And nobody wants to let go of the feel good situation, but you have to understand that the love bombing conditions and eventually that person is going to change because they're not going to be able to maintain the fake person and the fake expressions that they were putting forth to you.
I had to question myself too, honestly, because I saw some signs on myself. Like, I was like, I've never done this before. Oh my gosh. Like, some things were like talking for hours, all day, all night. Like, this was flattering to me in a way, but it was really like a red flag, you know, because who has that much time in their hands? Like we are all adults and we're very, very busy. So I had to question that too.
Yeah. You definitely need to look out for certain signs. I've said this before, they bombard you with gifts. The relationship feels intense and unbalanced. That's a key one for me. I experienced that. They give you constant compliments. They say exactly what you want to hear and what feels good for you. They expect a lot of time and attention, which
Especially if you have told them everything
yes,
about you and your
yes,
personal life.
yes,
They know exactly what to target.
yes. They expect a lot of time and attention, which can isolate you from your friends family. Guilty of that one. Your bond seems intense, which can be good at times, but also overwhelming. Been there, that done that. They put you on a pedestal, but then they can also turn around and mistreat you. Been there, done that. They get upset when you set a boundary, and they can push for commitment very early on.
And they can also make promises that they cannot live up to.
Yes, because the whole facade of them trying to capture you in the first place is all built on them, taking a hold of your vulnerabilities
Trying
and
to
knowing,
impress you.
yeah, trying to impress you and trying to make it seem like they're bigger than they are, or they're more than they are, or they have more than they are. Like, I don't need you to impress me, just be yourself. And if you're just being yourself and we're getting to know each other and we're having conversations, are having discussions, things are going to progress and things are going to grow. And if you want to send me flowers and you want to go on little dates and whatnot, all that is cool. But when you're with a narcissist or someone that's a manipulator, you are more than likely to be susceptible to love bombing and you might not even know it.
True. And um sometimes people do these things too because they're trying to get something out of it. They trying to get sex or whatever else they're trying to get out of it is something in it for them. It might not be something like money or something like that, but either the person is insecure and just wants security for themselves, so they try to love bomb a person so they can kind of know that, oh, this person, I'm making this person fall in love with me, and which that's not the case in my case, but I'm just saying, like, whatever they could get out of it. Someone who is genuinely interested in you has the time to assess you. There is no rush. There's no rush.
Definitely no rush. And watch out for things that they say, you're my soulmate. You're the perfect man or woman. We're soulmates. You complete me. I've never met anyone like you. I'll never meet anyone like you. Those are also all red flags, especially when they hit you with that in the beginning. Now, after you've been together for some time and you really have gotten to know one another and are on the same page with what you want out of the relationship and the situation, saying that you feel someone is your soul, I think that that's okay down the line, but off the jump, if you're telling me I'm your soulmate, but you don't even know where I'm from, how many kids do I have, what are their names, where did I go to school, what did I study, where do I work? If you don't know any of those personal things about me, what is my favorite food, what do I like to do before bed? If you don't know any of those essential things, then how can you say that we're soulmates? What if I like staying up late watching TV
Nah, forget that. If
and
you
you like
know if
early?
you know too much about me, that's a red flag.
And they will
Uh-uh.
they'll try to do that. They'll definitely try to do that, especially in the beginning when they're trying to lure you in to the whole situation of getting into a relationship with them way too fast. Way, way, way too fast.
And I had to understand this is not what I thought it was,
Right.
because you start to mirror those things, especially if you're with someone and they're treating you a certain way. You kind of mirror that because you want to keep the flame going, supposedly. But
Yes.
why not just be regular? Like, you don't have to be over the top,
Yeah.
or you don't have to expect me to be over the top. Um, when a person is genuinely like interested in you, they are curious about you without entitlement, without
Right. Yeah.
and we don't even think about like years put into a relationship versus a couple months or
Right.
year, or you
Right.
know even two.
Mhm. And some of the things that you need to look out for when you're in the relationship with a love bomber is that the affection will become conditional. They say things like, I did this for you. Now you need to do this or that for me.
Oh, wow,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
that's when it comes out, and that's
Yeah.
when you really know.
Yeah.
You
They
know what? And that's
don't
not
act.
just for relationships, that's for friendships too.
Yeah.
I did this for you. This is the
Right.
first thing I hear, and I'm like, well, and you would like to say back, well, what about all the stuff I did? You know?
Right.
But then
Like who's keeping secrets? Who's keeping score and what's the purpose of that? I always thought that that was the stupidest thing of people keeping score and trying to keep receipts of what they've done for another person.
I
If I'm
really
doing something,
dislike that.
doing something for you because I want to and because I care about you, not because I'm expecting you to do something for me back. Another is, again, they want all of your time. They become very clingy and they may discourage you with time, friends, or family. There's an intense jealousy if you do spend time with others. Personal boundaries are discarded. For example, they may show up at your workplace. They want to make relational commitment too quickly by talking about marriage or moving in together. You said that. They need continuous reassurance and compliments from you because of their insecurity. And
Exactly.
at some point they turn cold because they're unable to keep up with the facade.
Exactly. So you get to the point where you're questioning all of these behaviors from this person because you're like, and you're questioning your behaviors too. Because, like I said, most of the time we mirror what the other person is doing in a relationship.
Right.
And that's just like to keep it going, to keep, to keep the unity between each other. But giving too much attention, that is not natural.
No.
That's not natural.
Not if you're not if you have children and you have a life you with friends and with family. I mean, the other person cannot expect you to bypass your kids number one, to serve their needs. They can't expect you to stay on the phone with them and be texting them all night and day when you have stuff to do with your kids. You've got homework, you've got dinner, you've got chores, they might have activities. And for someone to expect you to, ignore that and just give them that attention, I think it's just asinine. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I want to go back to the story that broke a couple of months ago when Kiki Palmer and her son's father were going through their issues with their split and the whole domestic violence situation. Kiki made statements and some posts and said that, she was guilty of love bombing. And I believe that. And many others have stood up and stood forward and said
I
they've
think
been
I'm
guilty of,
guilty too.
yeah. And this was not something that I heard, growing up and in my early, teens and 20s when I was first dating. I never knew what love bombing was. I didn't learn about that word until this year.
But hold up. Let me make something clear. Even though I think I'm guilty of it, I think other people are too. And
Yeah.
they should take accountability for that.
Yeah.
Because at the same time, it's like, you knew all along that this was what it was.
Right.
And I say I'm guilty for it is because I'm a grown up. I'm not going to blame everything on one person. I'm going
Right.
to blame it on myself too, because if I would have never went with it, then it would have, it would have just never been. But
Yeah.
you knew the situation because you know it, you feel it, you know where I'm coming from. So you know what it is. I know what it is.
Yeah.
It was confusing to me at the time because it was like, oh my gosh, like I just got out of a relationship, and it
Right.
was like, and people use this too when they try to get you back.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like if you've been in a relationship with somebody and then you break up, and then to get you back, they have to start all over again and do the same thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't need you to um do that for me. I don't need you to do the same thing that you got to get me the first time if you don't know how to keep me.
So we have a question here in the comments, and it says, "How can you tell the difference of someone trying to be with you and someone love bombing?" You want to take that one and answer it, and I'll go after you.
How can you know the difference? Yes, like it's hard to know the difference again because everybody has a
Yeah.
honeymoon phase in a relationship. So,
Mm-hmm.
but if you're not in a vulnerable state and you're noticing that the other person is rushing stuff, like, and instead of like really having this natural love, not natural love growth, they are being obsessed with you.
Yeah,
I mean, those are red flags to me. If a person is requiring so much out of you just to keep you and just to keep something going, that is not natural. The
right.
natural way is let it be.
Yeah,
Let it be. Be
yeah,
yourself. Let it be. If that person, ultimately feels like it's not real, or you don't love them for real, whatever, because you're moving at your own pace, then guess what? That No, that's not it.
yeah. That's not the one. I think it's key to state that, when two people get together and they decide that they want to go on a relationship journey, date and see how things go, make a commitment to one another, and go from there. I think what's key and very important is that both of you are on the same page. It's not one person wanting to move than the other. Not one person saying, "Hey, we should move in together. Hey, we should combine households. Hey, let's, talk about getting married and, and all that kind of stuff." A person that's naturally with you and is growing with you and staying on the same page as you is going to have an understanding that A, you work, you're a parent, you have household responsibilities, you've got things that you've got to do. You can't just give them all of your time and attention. And that person is going to understand, going to respect it, and they're not going to be jealous of the time in which you're not with them. That doesn't mean you're with somebody else. I got enough on my plate. I'm out here handling my business. You think I got time to be juggling three and four dudes?
Okay? And do not, my advice, do not get with anyone new after you have been in a relationship, because you do need that time. Maybe you're healed, but you still need that time to self-reflect. And in these moments, it's like it's the perfect timing for someone else to come love bomb you. And then boom, the same thing happens again. And now you're like, I don't believe in love, F love, whatever. And it shouldn't be like that, because love is a beautiful thing.
Agree. Love is definitely a beautiful thing, and it's even more beautiful when it happens organically and it's not forced. When I mean, of course, with any relationship, marriage situation, you do have to put effort in. You do have to show the other person that you care, but there's a line between caring and being jealous and obsessive that I think people need to get past, and they need to recognize those signs and recognize the differences. Just
And
because I'm
now
with
I am
you.
more appreciative of the fact that knowing that I was with somebody for so many years before we even talked about marriage.
Yeah,
Like, we were in it for the long run. Like, it was not like a overnight thing. Oh, we're gonna getting married next year. No, this person took the time to get to know me and
same,
like me for who I was.
same. Yeah, in a similar situation. Spent years together, had kids together, and then we're like, okay, now we're at the point, we've done all we need to do. Next step is to go ahead and get married, which is what we did. So, yeah, you have to do what works best for you. But for me, I think I just had a really negative experience growing up with my parents and their marriage, and I never really saw anybody in a happy marriage. So I was a little gun shy when it came to pulling that trigger. And so many people, getting divorced for various reasons and different reasons. I wanted to be absolutely sure. So I think after a lot of thought, consideration, and conversation, and baby number two, the clock was then starting to tick with me saying, okay, like, what's next? And we had that conversation, and we went there and we discussed it. We didn't rush anything, but I didn't move into a situation without knowing who I was getting into a situation with. I knew who I was with. I knew what type of person they were. I knew their flaws. I knew that they had imperfections just like I had imperfections. Yes, I was lavished with gifts and flowers and trips and things like that, but we'd been together, for years. So that's normal couple stuff. That
And
wasn't,
listen, nobody is perfect,
yeah,
okay? And like we could sit here and be grown-ups about it. Like everybody has lied. I don't care what you say. Everybody has lied one way or another. Like people sit here and, try to cover up and just try to be this perfect person. No, you have lied either if it was your feelings, your emotions, or somehow, you know what I'm saying, not to cuz I don't care. You didn't want to lose something, whatever the case may have been. People say
yeah,
white lies, dark lies, whatever, it's still a lie. And when you don't tell people certain things, that is still lying to them. Okay.
yeah. That's lying by omission when you leave certain important things out. And there's a lot of situations in which people, they tell these little white lies because they don't want to hurt the other person's feelings, or they don't want to make them feel a certain way, or they don't want to get a negative, reaction or response, and they want to just try to stay complacent within the situation. But you've got to be comfortable enough and safe enough in your relationship to be able to speak your mind without any negative repercussions, without any verbal abuse, without any put downs, without anything like that. They should be able to hear you. Now, they may not agree with what you're saying, but at least they can hear what you're saying. They can take it in, and they can have respect for what you're saying.
Absolutely. And I don't hate the love bombing experiences because like I said, it's a learning moment for me. It was.
Yeah.
So it just made me wiser. And, it opened my eyes to a lot of things that I couldn't see. And I'm glad that it did that because now, I'm able to move on as planned. So it was a good experience.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you had a good experience from it. I hope you guys learned a little bit about love bombing, some things to look out for, whether you've experienced it or you've done it yourself. If you're doing it, stop it right now. I'm telling you to stop it. End it. Don't do that to the other person, because that's not fair. It's very manipulative, and that's a sign of being a narcissist, and I don't think anybody wants that. So that is all that I have for tonight. I just wanted to kind of go over the whole love bombing thing because, again, I didn't know what love bombing was until this year. That phrase wasn't around when I was dating in
You
my
and me both.
in early 20s. So I felt like if I learned it, then maybe somebody else might not know about it, and maybe they could learn something too. So we're gonna talk about it tonight. But
Yeah.
thank you guys for tuning in and joining us. We appreciate it. If you're still out enjoying the festivities of Cinco de Mayo, y'all better get in the house very soon because the kids got school tomorrow. but
And
it,
work.
and work. But until then, we will see you next week. Bye, guys.
Bye bye.